Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to Dementia TV. We haven't been live on air for some time and that's due to unforeseen circumstances. We took some time off and we're back in full force, but we're back with a very interesting topic this evening. We're talking about dementia. Something that I've learned quite a lot about this week, and I've done a lot of my research. Prior to this week, our producer had a real passion to really have this, and I don't know what to call it, to be honest with you, this condition, disease, something that really close to his heart, our founder of Dementia TV. And we went around looking for people that have got the knowledge or lived experience to come and share their knowledge with us on Dementia TV. And we managed to find the lovely Ivy Fletcher, who have a lived experience with someone who passed away, her mother, sorry, who passed away with dementia. We also have Chino Wells Cole, who studied dementia, and Chino is going to tell you why he went into this area of work or why he wants to go into this area of work. It's going to be such an awesome program today, and I really want you to be very attentive and engage with us, share the program, invite your friends, call your friends, you know, and tell them, look, you really want to be on Dementia TV today to hear what dementia is. It's a real eye-opener, and I think everybody needs to really understand what dementia or Alzheimer's is. So I've got Chino here who's going to tell us what is dementia. So I'm going to actually tell us a little bit about yourself, Chino. Tell us a little bit about why you're so passionate with dementia.
Okay, I'm really passionate about dementia. The reason being, I've been in health and social care for quite a very long time, and what I've observed is there's a huge gap in the study of dementia, especially for the VME communities. And this got my interest because most of the time you have people with mental health issues and other kinds of health problems. But nobody's actually chasing up the issues of dementia. And we know dementia is here. It's a huge issue for us. And so that's what caught my interest. And so that's why I'm really passionate about dementia. And I'm very happy to share my experience of studying dementia with everyone today.
So your day job isn't actually working with people with dementia, is there?
No, you know, funny enough, it's not. In fact, one of my studies was on social policy and criminology. And right now I'm working as a data manager for a health service. But the interest I have in dementia is one that I see a lot of people actually having issues. The symptoms that someone can say is associated with dementia, but people are not actually taking it very seriously. And when I look into my own communities, and this is even frustrating for me because we know dementia is here, but we still have this denial of the existence of dementia within us, and this is why I have interest and trying to push it as far as possible as I can.
This is amazing. It's going to be such an awesome program, honestly. I can't even begin to tell the viewers to share it, share. Get it as far as, I don't know, Timbuktu. Because everybody, dementia does not pick who it affects. It can affect anyone, regardless of your race, your color, your status, no matter who you are.
Yes.
You know, it can have an effect. And I'm really passionate to be part of this amazing community that you two are willing to set up and give us the knowledge we need, particularly in the BME community.
Yes.
So I'm going to turn to Ivy now, Ivy Fletcher. Ivy's mum sadly passed away, left us in July, and Ivy has got the lived experience of what it's like to actually live with someone who's got dementia. So I'm going to get Ivy to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about why you want to do something within our community about dementia and Alzheimer's.
Good evening, viewers. My name is Ivy Fletcher. Dementia was a disease which I didn't know about until it struck my mom, and that's when it really hits home. I've been working as I work as a social worker with adults who suffers from mental disorders or in mental health. And I've worked with the elderly over 65s, and that's where I've had and seen people with dementia. And even though I worked there, I didn't realize that my mom was having the symptoms of dementia. So it took me a while to notice that my mom was suffering from dementia. First, one of the symptoms she had was she was quite suspicious. She could say, I've lost something in the house, somebody has stolen my clothes, or I can't find anything. So from then, it just opened up my mind, saying, what is really happening to my mom? She never used to be like that.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, her behavior has changed. And at times she could be confused. But we didn't really think it was dementia. Because I think maybe because coming from an African community, there's this denial that it never happens to us.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So after a few years, as it progresses, her symptoms were even worse. She could go out to the shops and get lost. She wouldn't know how to come back home, or if she goes to the church, she would get lost. So from then we noticed that there's a massive change in her behavior, or her thinking, or her memory, and doing activities of daily living seemed to be so much for her, and she couldn't perform as she used to do. It renew her, because she was just a strong woman, but it just changed.
Right. Do you know what? I wanted you to talk to us a little bit about your lived experience. I'm sure there's so much we're going to cover today. But I'm going to turn over to Chino now and actually ask, Chino, what is dementia? What is this disease? What is it?
Dementia is an umbrella term that we use to describe a whole range of neurological illnesses. And what I mean by that is, you can imagine an instance where you have a building. In that building, you have your bedroom, you have your sitting room, you have your kitchen. This is just my literary way to make it easier for our viewers to actually
understand,
pick it up what is going on. So dementia is an umbrella term, but in that umbrella term, you have different types of dementias, which we'll come into later on. And this is why it's more difficult to actually pinpoint exactly what are we dealing with. And so, to put it in a simple term, it's a symptom that affects your memory, it affects your language, it affects your movement and your thinking, your everyday life, all is put together. And this is exactly what dementia is about. So a symptom that affects your entire way of everyday living.
What are the statistics? What are the stats of the dementia? What is it? I mean, how many people will suffer from dementia?
Well, it depends on which scholarly
in the
article
UK.
you read, or let's say it is an issue that is growing every day. So in the UK, if we focus on in the UK, there's over 850,000 people living with dementia today. And you can imagine the UK with a population of say 66 point something million, 850,000 of those people will have dementia. And that is where the problem is. And this bears down to other communities and other ethnic groups in between. But that is what we're dealing with. And which means that if you begin to break this down, you begin to see that we are living longer, because we can see, the developments of medications and technology is making us live healthier and more longer.
Absolutely.
Which means the older we're going to get a huge number of people living with dementia. So the projection is the number of people living with dementia in the United Kingdom is going to rise. And people are looking, maybe in 2040s, you hit maybe 1 point something million or something like that. So it's a huge number we're dealing with.
So it's really important that we really get this awareness out there, isn't it?
Indeed.
So particularly within the BME community, so that they'll get some knowledge of this. So Ivy, I'm going to turn to you for now. Tell me a typical day of your mum. What sort of things would she do in a typical day having dementia? What would it be like?
As her dementia progressed, the typical day was varied.
Right.
She could wake up with a mixed bag of emotions. She could wake up low, she could wake up high. So it was difficult it's difficult for me to explain what a typical day would be like. At times she'd wake up in the morning and say, I want to go home. And yet she was living in her own home, but she would tell you she wanted to go home. But as a family, we thought, because she had another home in the village, and the home where she was born. So we thought, no, she has got 3 homes. So there was a particular time when I had to literally take her to her other home, the home which she used to live which she lived for a long time. But as soon as we arrived there, she said, no, this is not my home. I want to go back to my home.
Oh, wow.
So we were not sure what she called home.
At that time, had she been diagnosed of having
Yes, she has been. Right. She had been diagnosed by that time. So we didn't really know what she meant by home. So I was on the verge of, when I could go back home, I would take her to the home where she was born and see whether she remembered that particular place where she was born. But unfortunately, she passed away 3 weeks later. So I couldn't take her where we thought she would know as a home. Yeah. So I think maybe it's the confusion, which is part of the symptoms of dementia, which was manifesting in her. So with her, a typical day would be very difficult, because in the evenings around 4 p.m. she would go in what we call sundowning. She would be restless, she would be confused, she would ask where the toilet is. This is not my home, whose house is this? And she would just get muddled up. And then we had some medication which were given by her doctor just to calm her down. And at times she wouldn't sleep the whole night. She would be awake the whole night and maybe sleep during the day. So her sleeping pattern changed.
Right. And this happened in Zimbabwe? Your mum
yes,
was in Zimbabwe?
My mum lived in Zimbabwe. But we made sure as a family that she would live in her own home, an environment where she was familiar with and people whom she was familiar with, so that the confusion, we could minimize the confusion, which is one of the symptoms of dementia.
Right. Okay. So, Chino, now tell me, how prevalent or common is dementia?
It is very, very common. And to put it in perspective, I think it's more common than people realize.
I see.
And it depends on what stats again you look at. But I'm going to use the one by World Health Organization. So according to World Health Organization, there's about 50 million people worldwide living with dementia. Right. And what a project is like every year 10 million people are diagnosed with dementia. So you could see how heavy that is. And that is so prevalent in the sense, like I mentioned before, in the UK, it's over 850,000 living with it. And then you come down to the BME, there's more than 25,000 of them living with the condition. So it is prevalent, but the problem is, it appears that as much as people are trying to educate people, make awareness of it, we're not pushing as hard as we are. And then to put it again into perspective, the figure that the World Health Organization has given, you can put it this way, it's only those that they are aware of. So if, for example, if you have a place, a continent or a country where there are no institutions taking care of people with dementia, how are you going to come up with that record?
Exactly.
So the academics, the experts project that there are more people living with dementia than the record shows. Because if you don't have a record of people living with the condition, you can't.
You're not going to know exactly.
It's like having a census.
Yes.
If you don't pick up a census during votes and know how many people are going to vote, you can only record what you captured.
Exactly.
So that is how prevalent it is. And put it again into perspective. This is what the experts are saying. For every 4 seconds, and I say that very, very carefully so that our viewers can understand. For every 4 seconds, someone somewhere in the world is diagnosed with dementia. Every 4 seconds. So I want our viewers to understand that. So if World Health Organization is saying 50 million, but then you're coming up to say for every 4 seconds, one person is diagnosed. Again, how long have we been on air? And then if you can break that down, you can begin to understand how prevalent this condition is.
Oh my goodness. Do you know what? I this program, we just can't, we need to have about 10 or 15 series of this, because it's just, what I'm learning so far, and we've only been on air like 15 minutes, it's just overwhelming. And it's so amazing to have the knowledge, you know, and I just hope that viewers watching this right now, you're really sort of engaging with us and understanding what this is, because we've got so much to cover today. please stay where you are. Do not move away from, like, you know, being on this program with us today. We thank you for joining us this evening, obviously. And I'm now going to actually, let me ask you a question, Chino. Can you get dementia at a young age? When does it start, and how does it develop, and why is it that before I was actually doing this program, I only thought it affected older people? Can it affect a young person?
Well,
when I say young.
Well,
yeah.
Usually, I think one of the biggest risk factors is age.
Age.
So the experts say the older you get, the more likely you're going to get it. That's what the experts say, and that's what the statistics says, because age is the highest risk factor. But what we're seeing, the age of diagnosis is dropping. And currently, there's about maybe around 45,000 of people between the age of 45 and 65 who has it.
Yeah.
And what we've seen in the last 5-10 years, somebody at the age of 31 has been diagnosed with dementia. So the age is dropping. And this is what the concern is. On one hand, we know that dementia is an illness associated with
old age. Yeah.
So they say the older you get, the more you get it. But then you look at it, the age is more dropping.
Yeah.
So this is another concern for the expert to try and work out what is going on. And could it be environmental issues? We have no idea.
I mean, yeah, because from a little research I did, I think I read something, I think it was one of the Bupa website, and it said something like someone might have dementia from the age of maybe 20, but they may not even notice they've got dementia until they get an older age, 65 plus or more.
That's the issue, that's the problem with dementia. Sometimes it takes time to manifest itself. And this is why we're asking people, if you begin to feel in a way that you within yourself or within your family, you know, this individual didn't used to feel this way, go and ask questions. That is what we're saying.
Yeah.
And some of the issues there is what we see in the BME community, for example. And we cannot, you know, preach this enough. And we tend to leave things into the later times. Yeah. You know, so say for example, if you find out that you put a kettle on and the kettle is boiling, you do the same thing over again. You go and put it on again, and then you put it on again. And this is not something that is normal. Or you open your door, you're looking for your key is there.
Oh, you get me a bit worried now. Carry on.
Yes. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have dementia.
I know, I understand.
Repeatedly, if you keep going and doing this
over and over again,
just go and ask questions.
Of course.
Yeah. So just because we say these things could be symptoms of it doesn't mean it is.
It is,
but it is up to the specialist, the doctor, to say this is what is going on. You know, sometimes people have what we call short-term memory loss. Yeah. It could happen. It doesn't mean you have dementia.
Of course not.
But in the BME community, that's the struggle we have. Yeah. We associate everything to the latter. We wait.
Until it gets really bad.
It gets wrong, and that is what the problem is.
And we run to church.
And then we run to church.
Yeah.
So,
to pray.
You know, we could do another show on about
another time.
Christianity. So,
of course.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
So many myths,
associated
with dementia, like us in the BME communities. Yeah. We just don't want to talk about it. It's a taboo.
But do we understand? I don't think we know what it is initially, or do we? But
we don't understand. I don't think we understand. Or we might understand, but there's a stigma.
Yeah.
Surrounding anything associated with mental illness. Yes. There's a stigma.
Yes. Right. Yes. And in that case, we become isolated. And the big word I usually use is denial.
Denial.
We deny that this is happening.
Absolutely.
You know, somebody tells you, why don't you go to the GP and ask questions? And you say, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. But how do you know that? Even if you're a doctor, are you going to diagnose yourself?
No.
Why don't you just go and ask questions? That's what we're saying. It doesn't mean that anytime you go to the doctor say you're ill. But you just go and ask questions. Doctor, this is what is happening. When I wake up in the morning, I repeatedly do this. And when I come back, I do this. Or this happens, I'm beginning to notice certain changes in my behavior. Yeah. What is going on? I just want to know.
Exactly.
It does not necessarily mean there's something fundamentally wrong with you. But that is what we're struggling with. So in the Black BME community, we have a situation of denial. Yeah. We tend to deny that situation is happening. And by the time we realize what is happening, it becomes too late.
And I think there's a lot of secrecy as well, isn't it? We can't really talk about it because we're bringing shame to the family, or pride, and all sorts of things that are associated with it. And in the end, we're losing out because knowledge is power, as you and I know. You know. So I want to turn to you now. How long did the disease develop before you saw the signs with your mum? How long did it
Because-
take? Was it that short period of 3 weeks, or was it a longer time and then all of a sudden you kind of noticed something wasn't right?
No, it took so many years.
Oh, it took some years. Okay.
It took years for us to realize that she has dementia. Because there was a time, because I wasn't living with her as such, but I used to go home because she lives in Zimbabwe. So I used to go home and see her maybe once a year or twice a year. But each time I go home, I would see a marked difference, a change in her behavior or a change in her thinking, and I could see that she was more confused. She couldn't remember me. She couldn't remember me. For the time when she died, I went home for 3 weeks. She kept asking my sister, who is this woman who is living here? Doesn't she have anywhere to go? Why is she living here? And she only remembered me, I think, 3 days before I was flying back to UK. And she literally cried and says, how could I forget my own flesh and blood?
She actually said that?
Yes.
Wow.
She said, I had forgotten that I've got a daughter. So are you Ivy? I said, yes, I am. She said, no, I didn't realize it was you. All these days you've been staying here, and I was thinking you were just someone else staying in my house. So it took us a long time for us, even as a family, to realize that she had dementia. But within these last 3 years, it was so progressive now. So she couldn't go to church on her own as she used to do. She couldn't even wash herself. And she could feed herself though, but she couldn't remember where the toilet is. She couldn't remember people coming in, even her own relatives or her own brother or some of the children. She couldn't recognize them. So that's when we just saw that this is dementia, which is progressed. But anyway, the doctor had told us that this disease progresses with time. So it was sad to see her losing all the skills, all the executive skills she had. All those things we take for granted, like day-to-day functioning, like we wake up in the morning, you have a shower, or you cook your own breakfast, or you clean your house, or I'm going to the shops, or I buy with a £10 note or a $10, I buy a loaf of bread. What is the change? All those things we take for granted. She couldn't do all those things.
Wow. This is
so it robs the person whom you know. My mom,
they become completely somebody else.
Yes, my mother was somebody else.
And the thing is, if we don't have this knowledge we're having now, we won't even know. I mean, this takes me to kind of turn to the camera and say to our viewers, if you're watching this program and you know of anybody, whether it's an uncle, an auntie, your mum or your dad, or even the neighbour, anybody that you feel may have this condition, can I call it? Was it a disease?
It's a condition.
It's a condition, yeah. If you know anyone, please either seek help, go and see the doctor, or refer them to someone, I don't know, what can I say?
Well,
help me out here.
The first point of contact is if you feel that your uncle or anybody you know is exhibiting characteristics that you're not used to. The first point of contact is to go to your GP. The GPs are well trained. They're very well knowledgeable enough to do a quick assessment to determine what is going on. And this is always the first point of call. And then if the GP is satisfied that there's nothing wrong, you're probably having short-term memory loss or there's something, they will tell you. But if the GP is not satisfied that you're okay, they will refer you somewhere else. You have memory clinics, you can do a brain scan. So there's a lot of processes for them to go through. But the first step that we want our people to do is go to your GP and tell your GP, I don't feel something is right with the way I'm behaving. And if you do that, then we begin to push this narrative. But we are struggling with it, but we will continue to do it. And I'm very, very glad that we have this platform to try and push this forward. Absolutely.
And also, just to say to the viewers, if you've got any questions at all, any burning question, as silly as it might sound, or may look, please just send us a message. You can email us at DimpesTV. You can call us, not today, but as the series go along, because today really is an introduction to the program. And you can send us a message, and I'm very sure that Chino, who's got masters, in dementia
Yes.
would be able to answer your questions. And of course, Ivy, who's have a lived experience, will be able to support you as well. I mean, you both got your organisations, which we're going to talk about as time go along with the programme. So, Gina, I'm going to turn to you now. What types of dementia are there?
That's a very, and that is where everything has been a struggle, because it depends on, again, what statistics you look at. But the experts are saying you're looking in terms of 400.
400 different types.
So you're looking about a whole range of types of dementias.
I see.
But as in the UK, most of the ones you hear are probably 5 types that you mostly
Which ones are those? Yeah.
Alzheimer's disease.
Alzheimer's, yeah.
Vascular dementia, then mixed dementia, frontotemporal dementia, and then the Lewy body dementia. Those are the 5 most prominent ones you probably will hear. And out of those 5, you are most likely going to hear about Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. And in between those two, you hear more of the Alzheimer's. The reason you hear more of Alzheimer's is because the whole of the dementia diagnosis we have, Alzheimer's constitutes between 60 to 80% of all dementia diagnoses. So that's huge. Yeah. And that's why you hear more about Alzheimer's. Yeah. But every one of them could be connected because they all have to do with your neurological being. Yeah. And so what we see is a symptom that has over 100 different types. And that is why it's very, very difficult to pinpoint exactly what is going on. And then you can imagine this in a less developed country.
Absolutely.
How are they going to deal with a condition that is about 400 different types? So the most important one is to make sure that when you have any kind of symptoms, you feel that it's not what you're used to, go and ask questions. So like I said, Alzheimer's is most common one.
Which is really interesting, because I was going to ask you, I always get confused between the two. I'm like, are they the same? Are they different? But I think we've kind of broken it down in terms of dementia and Alzheimer's. I'm like, which is which? Is it 2 different diseases? But no, as you've explained,
yes,
it comes under the umbrella, doesn't it? Yeah.
Dementia is the entire umbrella of all the diseases, of the conditions. So Alzheimer's is part of it.
I see. So Ivy, which one of those, the list that China's covered, which one that your mum suffered from?
My mother suffered from vascular dementia.
Could you explain what that is?
Vascular dementia is normally caused by, my mom anyway had high blood pressure. So she used to have these mini strokes which are called transient ischemic attacks.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Pardon, say that again?
Transient ischemic attacks, TIA.
Right. Small strokes.
Yes, small strokes. Yes. Yeah. So she would wake up in the morning and say, I've got this massive headache. Oh. And when we take her to the doctors, they said, no, she had a mini stroke. But we wouldn't know that it was a mini stroke. So the more mini strokes she had,
the increase in
the dementia, it progressed.
Yeah.
So as she had this progression in the vascular dementia, that's where I was saying she lost all the skills she had before. So she lost all the day-to-day functioning things which we take for granted, that I'm doing this, I'm doing that. She couldn't plan anything. No. She couldn't complete a task. No. And she couldn't remember people. She couldn't remember whether she had eaten or not. So she had to be reminded every time that, no, you had your breakfast. Now we are waiting for you to have lunch, or we can just give you a snack in between. But when your sister who lived locally used to come and visit her, she would say, they are not giving me food here. Right. And the sister wouldn't understand whether we had given her food or not. Yeah. Yes, because the way she said it was so convincing that she hadn't eaten.
Right. Okay, this is amazing.
Yes, and one of the difficulties about that, what your mom had, is most people that have either Alzheimer's or vascular dementia would have what we call mixed dementia. Okay. So you have some symptoms of Alzheimer's, you have some symptoms of vascular dementia, and you have the mixed dementia. And this is why it's always very, very difficult to know which one are we going to be addressing, and which is why we're hoping with the platform that we have, we want to keep pushing so that we can have interventions. You know, if you put intervention in place for people living with dementia, they can live as, practically normal life as they can do. But difficulty is having a vascular dementia and Alzheimer's.
And
And
a
a
mixed,
mixed.
mixed
That's what the problem is.
Yeah.
This, honestly, this knowledge, you couldn't pay for it, could you? It's just amazing to be on this platform to share such an important information with our community. So viewers, let me turn to you now. Please share. Please ask the questions. Both Chino and Ivy are passionate to set up their own organisations, which I will give the website and all the details by the end of the programme. I'm just overwhelmed, to be honest with you. I don't know, but since I find out about this disease, I've been reading up a lot more about it. I'm thinking, is it hereditary? Which I'll come on to and ask you that question in a minute. You know, how do we know if someone's got dementia? And this is why it's so important to have this platform.
Yeah.
So, is it hereditary?
Wow.
Is it possible that in Ivy's family, way back, a grandparent or someone could have got this condition, and of course, without knowledge, we wouldn't have known, and then it's come to this? What would you say?
It is possible.
It's possible?
It is possible.
I see.
Because that's one thing with dementia. It is possible. Gene is part of the high risk factors. So age, gene, your feeding, your health, maybe your exercise, and your reading abilities, your educational attainment. Those are all the risk factors. So yes, gene is a possibility. You know, so if somebody has it way back, it's possible they can pass on the gene. So that's part of the risk factors. You know, but in terms of our communities as well in the BME, and this is exactly where we also come in short. We want to really be pushing, because you can imagine this generation probably doesn't know what happened last generation.
Yes.
And that generation didn't know what happened the generation before them. So tracing back our genes way back in Africa is not as easy as it would be in the Western world.
Of course, yeah.
You know, here we are. They can easily find out who you are as easily as possible. So yes, it's part of it.
But I can also relate to that, because I remember my maternal grandfather, my mom's father. I suspect he had dementia, but I just don't know, because we were so young. Me and my sister, when we used to visit our grandparents, me and my sister would change our clothes, and my grandfather would say, "Oh, hello, are you visitors?" And then, because you know we are young and silly, we go and change, and he comes back and he greets us, and we used just to find it so funny. But now, as I've grown up and I've seen people suffering from dementia, I'm thinking, oh,
it takes you back, doesn't it?
My grandfather maybe used to have dementia.
Yeah.
And this is exactly why I'm hoping that our viewers can send out our message. Through this platform, we want to really push it out there. And I was having a discussion with yourself, and I told you exactly my experience with my late grandmother. It's exactly the same thing. All the symptoms I'm studying now in dementia, she exhibited them.
Yes.
But you couldn't put it together because there's no platform for us to understand that. But now, if we can push this through Dimpa TV and push it out there and let our people begin to talk about it, discuss it, say it, we will begin to retrace our ways and thinking, hang on a minute, what happened 20 years ago back home? That was dementia. But then the problem is, how then do we push it further?
And how do we educate our children and our children's children? Because it's very important,
It is important that we do that, because from our experience, if we had any platform for anybody to, give us an awareness of what it is, we might be in a better position to capture what is happening quicker. So if we don't do exactly the same thing what you're saying, educate our children, they might end up in the same situation where we are.
Absolutely.
And that is, it's almost like a vicious cap going round and round.
Absolutely.
So we want to educate them.
And this is what to break that barrier
and
of not talking about certain conditions. We need to talk about.
Turn to the camera and tell our viewers why you think it's really important that they talk about.
It is important to talk about these conditions we have.
And not feeling any shame or stigma attached to it.
Because with dementia or this Alzheimer's, there is a stigma around dementia, or because it's one of the mental illnesses or mental disorders. So as the BME group, we tend not to talk about such issues. We tend to hide that this person has been bewitched or this person has been a witch. And that's why this is happening to them. I think that's the tendency we have in our BME communities, especially in Africa.
Yes. And I would second that. I would say, what you need to do is to do the simplest things of asking questions.
Absolutely.
That's what you need to do.
I agree.
You do not have to do much other than make an appointment with your GP, go and ask questions. And that's what we want to do. And we hope that we can begin to educate our young ones to talk about these issues, because we can no longer be in denial. Dementia is here
to stay, and it's
here
real.
to stay.
And it's real.
And I've given a figure in the UK, it's over 850,000. And the experts are projecting it is going to rise. So, and there's no cure. So there's nothing we can do other than to make sure we prepare ourselves to be aware of what we're living with.
I mean, there might be someone watching now thinking, actually, I don't have a clue what this is. I don't know what dementia is. What would you tell them? You know, what would you say if somebody, where's the first point, really? I know you say go to the doctor, but what's the first point of understanding for someone? If I asked for 2 words to explain it. Is it memory loss? Is it confusion?
No. Those are part of it.
Part of it,
you have
yeah.
memory loss, you have confusion, and you could go on to say you begin to not understand who you are anymore. And sometimes you're so confused, you don't know whether you're going or you're coming. So there's a whole lot of symptoms that you can understand. But the easiest thing I always ask people to do, think about who your mom was or your dad was.
Okay.
Think about how they used to be. I know, we can never remain the same as we get older.
Absolutely.
Of course, your body changes and everything. But if your parents, your uncle, your auntie, or anybody you know begin to exhibit some symptoms that you not associate with them, you have to ask questions.
Yeah.
And there's never any issue about asking questions. It's either yes, there's something wrong, or no, there's something not wrong. So, but if you don't ask questions, you don't. So if all our viewers watching today, the simplest thing you need to do is ask questions. That's what we want them to do.
And another thing is, in our African communities, back home in Africa, we don't have money. They don't have money to go to the doctor if they see any symptoms arising. So our aim, you and me, is to teach our communities what to look for, the signs and symptoms of dementia, and how can we educate our people, and how do we communicate with people with dementia, and the carers who look after the people with dementia. That's where we need to.
That's the
area where we need to work on.
Starting point.
That's our starting point. Because in Africa, to be honest, there is no money to go to the doctor.
And the thing is, Ivy, I mean, I don't even mean to cut you short there. It's not just even, I know they haven't got money in Africa, but here, NHS system, the NHS, you don't really need to pay to go. I mean, I say you don't need to pay, we're paying direct, don't we?
Yes.
However, if there was something wrong with you, you can walk into NHS, can't you? So the message I wanted to really get into our community here is that, make sure that you do go and seek the help that you need.
You have to. You have to. I mean, it's the easiest.
Because they have no excuse, do they?
There's no excuse.
To be honest, you can't say I can't afford it because, hey, the door's open. But I think the main thing I wanted to get across is that when people feel ashamed or they feel like, oh, I don't know if that's me, or they think there's a stigma attached to it. But if you don't do something about it, it doesn't disappear.
It gets worse.
Does it? It gets worse. Just like everything.
And I'm hoping that in subsequent series that we're going to do, in this platform, we will discuss all kinds of topics about these things. And then, once we begin to break it down, people will begin to understand that there's a whole lot about dementia that we take for granted.
Absolutely.
And the only thing we can do is to make sure that we create this awareness, which you and I are going to push through this platform.
It's amazing.
To make people, why don't you go and do something? Sitting back home, hoping that it's going to get better, does not cure dementia. Does not, because there's no cure for dementia. Does not make it get better. The experts have told you it's a progressive illness. A progressive mess, it doesn't get better. So, but the longer you sit on it, hoping that it will get better, it gets worse. So by the time a DME person is diagnosed,
it's too late.
It's point of too late. So that's what we need to start pushing forward.
Which now brings me to another question for you, Chino. So who can develop dementia?
Anybody can develop dementia.
Really?
Anybody can. It doesn't. Dementia has no
matter how,
it doesn't matter what you are, who you are. It doesn't matter whether you're a professor or you're so highly learned or you're poor. anybody can develop it. And that is what the issue is. And which is why it's so difficult to try and get people to actually go and seek help. Because there's sometimes people associate certain illnesses to certain group of people. And if that illness goes into the other side of it, people ignore it, which is what we're fighting with.
Absolutely.
So, for example, you still have experience of people dealing with people who have mental health issues as outcasts. Nobody chooses to have mental health issues.
Exactly.
So why would you think about outcasts? You know, whereas some other communities, we welcome them with open hands, support them to go and seek help, and say, I understand what you're going through, I'll support you. They will accept that everybody live together. It's the same thing with dementia. If anybody is diagnosed of dementia within the BME in a home, you're more likely not to hear about it with friends and family because they feel ashamed telling you that their mom has got dementia. That's what the problem is. But as you asked, anybody can develop
it. Wow.
That's very true.
Wow. Okay, Ivy, now over to you now. So what are some of the myths or some of the things you hear within the African community? Because I'll start with telling you a little bit about, I grew up in Ghana, and I know that the older generation, the older people, sometimes there's a bit of a behavior that we don't quite understand. And I think some people kind of think, oh, that old lady next door is a witch, or she's gone crazy, or there's something wrong with her. Is it a similar thing in Zimbabwe?
Yes.
Tell us how the stories.
Yes, it's quite interesting because the myth surrounding dementia in Africa is quite large. Because these people who suffer from dementia at times experience hallucinations.
Right.
And when you experience hallucinations, you can talk about anything. You say, oh, I've killed so and so, or because a person is confused and a person is, it's a mental illness. So, like a person with schizophrenia, they can say anything. And the person becomes suspicious. And there's an old lady or an old gentleman living there hallucinating. And as Africans, we are very quick to say that person is a witch or that person is a wizard, or
whatever
you can see what they are talking about. They are talking about someone else's child who died a long time ago. And yet it's the long-term memory. Maybe it's remembering so-and-so's child died that particular time and so forth. And then us, we are very quick to judge, and either we send them to these prophets, the prophets from the church, and
who's going to pray for them,
yes, and
to get rid of it.
Get rid of it.
Right. And then, I hope you're listening.
Yes, and we also go to the witch doctors, and this person is chained on a tree or whatever they do there, is given some medication, not medication as such, but it's those herbs and whatever they prepare, and we are worsening the situation of this person. We don't know whether these herbs are doing any harm to this person or so it is quite difficult in our African communities to get a grip of this dementia. We think a person has been bewitched. That's why we need to raise an awareness and get off that myth of our African communities of thinking a person who has got dementia is a witch.
And this is why it's so important to have the two.
And they are isolated.
With this journey moving forward. Hopefully our viewers, someone somewhere, would learn something from this. And the more we do these programs, the more we can get the information out. We might go a little bit over time today, just to let our producer know, just because there's two important questions that I think I should really ask. And I'm going to turn to Chino just to ask this particular question. Can dementia be prevented? I know you said there's no cure. Or statistical research shows
it could be prevented, but not prevented as in prevention of it appearing. You know, the only thing we can say is you have to, you know, eat well, sleep well, do exercises, you know, study well, be healthy, you know, take care of yourself, and all those things. Those are things that will help you, you know, to maybe, when we say prevent it, but naturally, it will not, you
minimize
you minimize.
Is that through medication that they give, or is it can it be minimized because of the medication, or can it be minimized because of our lifestyle?
No, it can be minimized because of our lifestyle.
Our lifestyle.
So before, what we're saying is, as you go along, eat well, sleep well, do all the right things, don't smoke, don't be overweight. You know, do all the right things that so that will minimize your risk of having it. However, if it's in your gene that you will have it, then you are prone to have it. And one of the biggest issues about prevention people talk about is dementia. The highest risk factor is age.
Right.
So which means the older you get, you're likely going to get it. So even if you say, can you prevent it? You can't prevent age.
Of course not.
Those are the two big things people need to know.
Yeah.
You do not prevent age, and you do not prevent your gene.
Yes.
So as much as people can say, eat well, do this, do that, you are most likely going to get it. Because one, you will age, two, it might be your gene.
Right, okay. And if it's in your gene, then the best thing to do is?
Seek help as soon as possible.
Like you keep saying.
And then when the doctors find that this is in your gene, they can, you know, prescribe activities, interventions that will help you. You know, because we know dementia is progressive. So it's not a question of even if they catch it early, they can cure it. No. But the idea is even if it's in your gene and it's diagnosed, people can put interventions in place. And that's where dementia care specialists come in.
Yeah.
Put intervention in your place so you can live well in your home with a right support. You can do exactly the things that you do as the condition progresses.
Right. It's really important because I was talking to Ivy earlier, just before the program started, and I really wanted to ask you, Chino, particularly because you've actually studied this.
Yes.
I just wanted to picture a brain of someone who's got someone who's got dementia. Sorry, it's about to mention something else then. Someone who's got dementia, what does it look like? Imagine this is the brain.
Imagine this is the brain.
Give me sort of a
Imagine
breakdown.
this is the brain.
Yeah.
And you have all the connections in the brain.
Yeah.
But in the middle, there's a big hole. I mean, in the subsequent series I will do, I will bring the two pictures of a normal brain and
a dementia brain.
Yeah. You can see the difference. You will see the difference is quite hollow in the one that's got it. So then you can begin to understand it. So and normally in dementia as well, we use pictorial to illustrate what we're saying. Yeah. So in subsequent series, I'll come up with some pictorial explanations of what it looks like. Then our viewers can begin to understand it.
Of course.
But the easiest way I can explain it is this way. If you have a flashlight, like the Christmas light, you have a flashlight in a bowl, and then you have one blinking all the time. As it blinks longer, blink faster, it goes. That's how the brain goes. That's how it happens in the brain. So all those flashlights that connect everything start dying one after the other. And that's why everything begins to go that way. And because the brain is so soft, this is exactly what happens. It's so difficult to try and repair it. And that is why even the experts haven't found a cure for it. Because when those flashlights cease to flash, they're dead.
Wow. Now, how is that for knowledge, honestly?
And they shrink.
And it shrinks, does it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It does shrink and gets smaller.
So the actual brain gets smaller?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Right, I'm actually really speechless. I mean, you've got me going on another level completely. I'm like, should I go and do my master's? You know, it's so interesting, isn't it? It's so interesting. Yeah. Oh, honestly, this is so amazing. I'm going to really move on to the charity you've set up. But I'm going to start with Ivy first. Ivy, you set up a charity called Monica's Dementia Awareness. Is that right? Have I said that right? Yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's going to be in Zimbabwe?
It's going to be in Zimbabwe.
So you can turn to the camera and speak to our viewers and tell them what you hope to do. Perhaps, I don't know if you're going to start in the UK, then take it to Zimbabwe. And we know why you're doing it, but what you hope to do.
Okay. Yeah. I am in the process of registering for the charity. It will be called Monica Dementia Awareness Zimbabwe. It's in memory of my mother. And this charity is all about educating our communities in Zimbabwe on dementia, for signs and symptoms to look for in the families they live with. And why I chose to do this charity was maybe was because I was grieving, or it's because I knew my mother is a strong woman, but at the end she was a different person altogether. So it might be happening to some families there in Zimbabwe or any other part of Africa. So we just want to raise this awareness so that our people who are living with dementia can be well looked after and not be outcasts, as we believe in Africa that anyone who has lost their senses is a witch or something else is happened to them. So that's the barriers and stigmas which I would want to take off our communities, and then they can understand what dementia is all about.
Yeah.
So I was lucky that I was here and I understood what dementia is. So I want to try to impart knowledge to those people who doesn't have a knowledge of what dementia is. So that's the main aim of me creating this charity. It's not for me to benefit anything, but
not.
it's for
It's
my
the knowledge,
community
of course, yeah.
to benefit
Yeah.
from the lived experience I had with my mother.
That's amazing. Thank you for that. And Chino, I've got 2 questions for you actually. I want you to turn to the camera, and what would you say to our BME community? What advice have you got for them? Please be real, say it as it is, and don't please sugarcoat anything. Because sometimes we need to hear it as it is.
Truth.
The truth. And the truth does hurt, but we need to hear it.
Yes.
So turn to the camera and say something to our community of, I'll leave it up to you. You just go. It's all yours now.
Right.
Yeah, turn to the camera.
So I think the most important thing I want our communities to know, our BME communities to know, is dementia is here with us. And as is here with us, the figures are growing year in, year out. There's nothing anybody can do about it. All we can do is to make sure we understand that the condition is here with us. And we have to push to try and make sure that people understand this. And if we don't understand it, it gets worse, because dementia tends to take, sometimes it takes longer to manifest than we know. And because it takes longer to manifest, we the BMEs do not seek help as early as possible. And that is what we're trying to push. And I set up an organization.
Yeah.
It's called Dementia Care Experience and Workshops. The aim of that is for me to create awareness, and I'm hoping to take it all the way to secondary school level.
Excellent.
Because I'll give you an example. If you go to any secondary school level and you talk about climate change, you're more likely to hear children say, I've had that before. But not many in secondary school will tell you that they have so much about dementia and mental health easily. So why are we not talking about it? So on one hand, I want our elderly to take care of themselves, but on the other hand, I want to bring it down to secondary school level and build it up. And especially, I will also say to our BMA people, we are going to be dealing with something I would call caring for the carers. As the series go on, that's part of the thing we do, because those caring for people who are living with dementia also need to be cared for.
Absolutely.
Because if you're not healthy enough, you cannot care for somebody living with dementia, because it's very, very stressful. So that's the aim of my organization, and we're hoping that with this platform we have, together we push and make sure our BME communities understand what we're going through.
And I think, I'm actually going to add to that. Maybe sometimes we should forget the fact that, it's all about witchcraft, because it isn't, honestly. It's not all about.
It's nothing to do with witchcraft.
I think they should leave the witches alone, don't you think?
Yes.
Let's deal with the real stuff.
It's always easy to blame something. It's
Absolutely.
it's a very quick way for, especially we, culture, from our culture, it's easy to blame something for something that happens. And the only way I can explain it is, if you go into an organization, for example, a church, you have medical doctors in that church.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if you're a medical doctor who studied dementia, you're a specialist in dementia,
Why not utilize
exactly
the
people in
knowledge?
The organization that there's something actually you need to do. This is nothing to do with witchcraft. It's something to do with your health. That's all we need to do. Exactly. And so we need to use this platform and push it. And I'm so happy that I have my sister here who have the lived experience, and I have Liz, and I have this platform, and then we can put this together. Because there's not much anybody can do about dementia other than to say, we will embrace this and we're going to challenge it and we're going to push it. That's what we have to do.
Other communities have accepted that the condition is real, that people can go for help. With us, it's a different story. We've got a very long way to go, but it starts with now. So to follow, our next series will be, the next program will be airing, will be 2 Sundays to come, which is on the 15th of December. And we will be covering, I forgot the title now, maybe you might be able to help me on that one.
We'll be covering dementia
and the communities, that's it, yeah. And I just want to say thank you so much, with a humble thank you so much for the 2 of you coming on today. Ivy, thank you, and good luck with the charity. And Chino, I don't know what to say. Keep up the very good work, and Honestly, it's such a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having
So
us.
viewers, I just want to say thank you for watching today. Like I said earlier, please share. If you've got any questions at all and you feel like, well, actually I have this question, but I don't know how to go about it, you can email, you can send a WhatsApp message, you can text, and our number will be on the screen. And I found I'll put the number on the screen, and you can actually tap into this knowledge, this amazing knowledge that Chino's got, what can help us to move forward with this particular condition. And of course, Ivy's got a lived experience. Ivy's details and both Chino's details will be on this program when we put it out on YouTube. So I just want to say thank you. And thank you so much for watching, viewers. See you in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
Thank you.